Welcome to the San Diego Opera Podcast. I'm Nick Ravelis. My guest today is David Bennett, who is the Executive Director, of course, and Artistic Director of San Diego Opera. And we're going to be talking about the 2018-2019 season. David, welcome.
Thank you, Nick.
I'm delighted to welcome you to this podcast.
Thank you.
Maybe only for the second or third time.
I know.
But,
it's something that I should be doing more of, don't you think?
Exactly.
We should be talking in front of people more often.
Absolutely. You're starting your third year.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about how things are right now. I think our audience would be very interested to hear your summary of what's been going on.
It's been a great few years here, and I think we're at a place. We just had a wonderful article in the UT last week, 2 weeks ago, that was really a sort of a state of the opera.
Right.
And I think what I can say confidently is that we are on the right path. I think the article said stable, and that's like a dangerous word. But we have actually, we're moving in the right direction. We have a lot of pieces in place that I feel really confident about.
Well, the one terrific thing, as far as I'm concerned, is the Detour series.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Just tremendously exciting.
Thank you.
That going out into smaller theaters and into neighborhoods and into community at large and producing opera.
Yeah. So that came about, I think, because when we thought, from the very beginning, when I looked at this job, and I looked at mission, vision, core values of the company, which had been rewritten before I was even here, there was a lot of excitement about trying new things. And so I was excited about putting my name in the ring for that. And then since then, I've thought about what my job is to make those statements real, tangible.
Right.
And that requires some experimentation, and the Detour series has been, I think, a successful part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know close to my heart the piece that we did last season, As One.
Yes. About
the transgender character, sung by two singers, accompanied by string quartet. Could not have been a more intimate experience, but so powerful.
If you think in the same season we did that and we did Turandot.
Yeah.
So those are about as wide a spectrum as you can have.
From here to here.
Right. But both truly operas.
Yeah.
And both very potent. And one of the things I've been trying to wrap my mind around is how to communicate in everything that we do. The centerpiece of all of it is the expressive potency of the voice.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it's 6 people or if it's 600 people. That's the commonality.
Yeah.
And I think if we stay true to that, we're going to wind up being a success.
Yeah.
And I think we're headed in the right direction.
It really feels that way. And what a great season. We've got 3 operas from the operatic canon at the Civic Theater, and then 2 smaller, more intimate Detour pieces. So we've got The Marriage of Figaro, which we're going to talk about today, Bizet's Carmen, and Verdi's Rigoletto, which is really an exciting season on its own.
I think so. Yeah.
And then All Is Calm, which is in the fall?
It's in December.
Or in December.
Yeah.
And then followed up by Jake Heggie's 3 Decembers.
In March. Yeah.
In March. So we've got a lot of different worlds of opera going on.
We do, as we should.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the fact that we have 2 different series allows us that opportunity. You can combine tradition with new.
Yeah.
And discover some new things along the way, and discover new things about works that you thought you knew on our main stage, which you mentioned the titles that we have as being exciting, and I agree.
They really are.
Yeah.
Now, and we'll talk about each of those in separate podcasts, so you can all tune back in. But let's talk about Mozart's The Marriage of Figaro, which of course is, a cornerstone of late 18th century opera. It's Lorenzo da Ponte was the librettist. This was his first partnership of 3 with Mozart. And what a powerful piece. One of the things that strikes me every time that we approach Mozart is how beautiful and elegant it is on the surface. And it's so easy for us to listen. It's, in a way, classical, easy listening music, in a way, because the tunes are always just perfectly constructed, and everything is so beautiful and so elegant. And it's not until you come into the theater and you realize that there's so much more being communicated about this music. I think of Se vuol ballare,
Absolutely.
Figaro's aria, which everybody knows the tune of, right?
Sing along.
Se vuol ballare, and that's the wrong key. But you can listen to that as sheer music, but when you realize in the theater that this is a really angry guy,
Raging.
Figaro,
Yeah.
absolutely furious. He's just realized that Susanna, his betrothed, is being set up to be seduced by his boss. And what a horrible, reckoning for this character to this dance-like tune.
Exactly. I think Figaro is my favorite opera, and I think precisely because of that, because we know the tunes, we know the arias, we recognize them. They're structured in a way that you expect them to be. There's a lot of payoff for the ear.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you see it, it's dramatically, perfectly constructed dramatically, I think.
Yeah.
It's all the drama is in the score, and if you play the drama that's in the score, it's sort of devastating in some places, but it's also a comedy. It's a remarkable work.
Yeah, and it works amazingly as comedy.
Yeah.
And you've got this level of high drama and pathos, and then on the turn of a dime, something will just make you roar with laughter. It's an extraordinary piece.
I agree.
Really, based on, of course, the Beaumarchais play, which I think only was in existence for maybe 3 or 4 years before these two masters got a hold of it and turned it into opera.
Well, it was definitely au courant then.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
absolutely. Everybody knew it.
Yeah.
Everyone in the aristocracy was afraid of it. I'm still sort of amazed that the Emperor of Austria decided that it was okay to do this opera in his theater, and I guess it was pretty popular. It did well. Tell us about the production.
This is a new production for San Diego. It is a co-production of San Diego Opera, Opera Philadelphia, Lyric Opera of Kansas City, and Palm Beach Opera. We are the fourth of the 4 companies to produce it, which I'm very excited about, because that means that anything that was a challenge has worked itself out, and we're going to get it when it's really ready to go.
Right.
I saw it in Kansas City at the premiere, and it's remarkable. It's a traditional production directed by Stephen Lawless, a British stage director who's directed opera all over the world, has directed here in San Diego before. It's traditional in the sense that it's a period piece. It is set when it was intended to be set. And
So the costumes and the furnishings are all 18th century.
Absolutely. And the costumes are very sumptuous and very gorgeous and really beautiful. But the set has some modern sensibility while still remaining a period piece. The set really consists of a very large wall, and during the overture you see the wall, and it's a white-ish wall that is carved, a massive tree that is carved almost like a cameo with portraits of faces of the family.
Oh.
So it's really in effect the family tree. That is moved downstage during the overture, and chandeliers are flown in. So it's in the world that you imagine, but it has this almost sculptural element that's really gorgeous, and it has a series of doors in it, and a lot of entrances and exits happen through the doors, but the wall is manipulated and it turns and it becomes the Countess's bedroom, and it becomes, part of it moves and it becomes Figaro's bedroom, and there's a thickness to the walls that you show that they're actually corridors. So there are places for secrets to be spoken and places for eavesdropping to be done.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, it's an amazing gesture, this wall, and it really is what you see through the production. So it has a modern touch to it, but it's very much a period production, and it's gorgeous.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
We'll be putting up some images of this production, and it's done well, I think, in all of the
Very
cities
well.
it's
Very, very well. And it was just in the past year out for a rental as well. So other companies are picking it up.
So we've made some money on
We
it.
have. That was, they had to sort of ask our permission. They said, is it okay if we rent it out before you have your first run of it? And I said,
Yeah.
money in the door is a good thing, so
we
let's do
think
that.
so.
Yeah.
So what about the singing? Who are the singers? I understand we've got some new singers that we're going to be discovering.
We do. All of the, I would say, the principal, the 5 main characters are singers who, well, that's not true. 4 of the 5 have not sung here before. They're all young American singers, so I think that's something that's really wonderful. There are 2 couples, Figaro and Susanna, and Count and Countess, and they're both young in this story, which I think sometimes we forget. Sometimes we
Well,
think...
yeah, actually, in the original Beaumarchais, I think Rosina, who becomes the Countess
Correct.
in the first play, The Barber of Seville, is
Correct.
only supposed to be 16.
Right.
So in The Marriage of Figaro, she's 19 or 20,
Right,
something
exactly.
like that.
So I think sometimes we see this opera and it appears that the Count and Countess are 60.
Yeah, or middle age.
Right. and Susanna and Figaro are maybe 30.
Yeah.
I've hired 2 young couples. The Count and Countess are older than the Susanna and the Figaro, and I wanted it that way. So let's start with our young couple. Let's start with our Figaro, title character. Nicholas Brownlee, who was a part of the Young Artist Program at LA Opera, has had a great success there, has gone on to sing at the Met, and has having a very successful career around the country now. A real singing actor.
Mm-hmm.
He won the Belvedere competition, which is one of the most important international competitions. You and I both judged him.
Right.
We had a
he's terrific.
Yeah, we had a preliminary round here in San Diego that then advanced him, and he wound up winning the international competition. You judged him before as well.
In Palm Springs,
Yeah.
yeah. Terrific singer.
It's a ton of stage presence,
Mhm.
a real rich, dynamic voice, and still young. So that's our Figaro. He is partnered with the Susanna of Sarah Schaefer, who was a graduate of Curtis in Philadelphia maybe 5 or 6 years ago. She's very young as well. But in her brief career has already sung principal roles at San Francisco and the Metropolitan Opera, just sang Popea this summer in Cincinnati, so she's moving on very quickly, but is also a very active recitalist and chamber musician. So she's a really gifted, expressive singer, which I think is very important for Susanna.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, Susanna
yeah.
has to carry the soul of a lot of this opera. So that's our young couple. Older couple, John Moore and Caitlin Lynch. Countess Caitlin Lynch, Count John Moore. Both have sung these roles several times. They've sung the roles together. They sang a production of Figaro in Seattle, I think 2 years ago. Caitlin I worked with in New York. She was the title character in a world premiere we did of an opera by Nico Muhly, Dark Sisters. So I got to know her there, but she's gone on to sing the Countess several times at the Met. Very expressive singer, very, very gifted actor. And then John Moore, dashing, handsome Count, has also made a name for himself as a singer of contemporary opera recently and been very successful. So those are our 2 couples. And then we have as our Cherubino, Emily Fons, who is one of those group, of all of those, who's actually sung here before.
Yes, she was the Zerlina in Don Giovanni, and I think perhaps many of our audience members remember her. She was extraordinary as Zerlina, and sometimes it's not a throwaway part, but you remember
it.
You remember the Don Giovanni or
Yeah.
the Elvira,
Yeah.
and she was just extraordinary. It was wonderful.
I saw her sing Cherubino in Santa Fe maybe 3 summers ago, and was extraordinary.
Yeah.
And because of her relationship here, after I saw that, when I was thinking of this production, I immediately went to her. So those are our 5 principal singers. There's a few other characters that are people that have sung with us here before that we'll be welcoming back.
Yeah.
But those people that are viewing the podcast can definitely go to our website and see more about those singers.
Oh, and our conductor,
Of course.
John Nelson.
John Nelson is also someone that I saw conduct in Santa Fe. He conducted the Figaro, and then the following years conducted a Don Giovanni. John had a career, an international career as an opera conductor for several decades, really. Has been conducting at the Met for, I would imagine, 25 years. Has never conducted here. Remarkably so. I don't know why, but has never conducted here. And when I heard him conduct Figaro, I loved it. I loved the pacing of his Figaro at Santa Fe. Sometimes I find some conductors now, some of the tempi are a little faster than what I feel work for me for the characters. And I think work with the structure of the lines in a very beautiful way allows singers to really be expressive. And
you want that with Mozart.
Absolutely. The arching needs to arch.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So I was so moved by his conducting of that, I had breakfast with him the following summer in Santa Fe when I went to see Don Giovanni and asked him to conduct this. And so I'm thrilled to be bringing him here. So I think it's going to be very strong musically.
With pieces like this, so many of our audience members have seen it before, and then we've got young audience members, our student dress rehearsal, of course, but also young people who come to the opera to just try it for the first time. What do you hope, as a producer, that an audience member comes away from a piece like this that's so much a part of the operatic canon, but that can also attract the person who's seen it 400 times, right? What do you hope an audience member comes away from with coming in touch with these characters and this music for the first time?
I think that it's not a museum piece, that it's a vital, compelling, dramatic work. Because that's the most important thing. That's the reason to produce it, right? Otherwise you listen to a recording. And they will come and be changed, I think, by seeing it. There's a moment in the opera, well, the basis of the opera really is that what we think of as the nobility being laid low, in effect, and the nobleness of the peasants being elevated. And that's a startling thing. And it's all there in the score, and it pays off beautifully in a dramatic way. So yes, it's of a period that you might think would remind you of going to a museum and seeing something on a wall. That's a museum piece, but it's not. It's a dramatically compelling, vital, exciting work that I think people, hopefully, will feel differently when they leave the theater than when they come in.
Yeah.
Having a sense of empathy, maybe, having a sense of understanding in a way that they didn't 3 hours before when they came into the theater.
I don't think you can help but be touched by a good performance of The Marriage of Figaro.
And it's funny.
It is.
That's the thing too, right?
It's wonderful. You can be going along in all this high drama, the servants sort of trying to outwit the noble, and then everything goes topsy-turvy. And it can get very dangerous, this drama at points. And yet, at the turn of a dime,
boom,
you can be laughing hysterically.
Yep.
It's an amazing, amazing piece. Thank you for bringing it to us.
I'm thrilled.
It's going to be terrific.
And it's been 12 years since we've done it here.
It has.
So it's time to bring it back, don't you
Feels
think?
like yesterday.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.